All right, everybody, NPLW time. We've got two special guests on this segment. We've got Jérémy, Magan, as always. Jérémy, how are you going today?
I'm good. How are you, Matt? Michael, number two. How are you going, boys?
Very, very good. And we've, of course, got Michael Aldred on, former NPLW Tuggeranong coach. Michael, how are you going today?
I'm going very well, mate. Thanks for inviting me on today.
No, we're very happy to have you. And before we get into what we're going to talk to about NPLW, Michael, do you want to talk? You can talk a little bit about your ACT futsal boys and how you guys went in the comp a couple of weeks ago, or just what you're doing in football at the moment, if you'd like.
Yeah, I don't mind. The ACT futsal was, I think, a fantastic experience for the boys. All the ACT teams did really well. Our under-13 boys sailed through qualifying, sailed through the group, won 10 games on the trot, and unfortunately come up against a strong Sydney team in the final and lost by the odd goal, which I think the time showed was scored with 12 seconds to go. But, you know, the boys did really well, and it shows the ACT can compete with other states. So it was a fantastic experience. In regards to what I'm doing now, I've obviously stepped down from Tuggeranong as the head coach for the women. I'm doing a bit of help with the Radford under-18 boys. I'm assisting in Worthington there, which is a great experience, opportunity to, again, learn from a different coach and a very good coach. I will hopefully get back into coaching in the next either few weeks or next season if someone makes me a good offer.
Awesome. All right. Let's get started into the show, shall we? All right. Of course, the big news, guys, is Michelle Heyman joining NPLW. Absolutely massive. She joins Gungahlin United. We all know her credentials. Former Matilda, played at the World Cup, Asian Cup, Olympics, you name it, all most of those squads for the Matildas. Of course, highest goal scorer in the W League. Jérémy, let's start with you. How big is this for the league? Of course, we've heard the rumors for a little bit, haven't we? But, you know, until it gets announced, you always sort of take everything with a little bit of grain of salt.
Yeah, we were waiting to see where she was going to sign and I guess if she was going to sign and play with the NPLW. But yeah, what a great signing for Gungahlin and what a great signing for the league. I mean, that means we have three Julie Dolan winner now with Ash Sykes, Heather Garriok, who's playing, and Michelle Heyman. And what else do you want? Like, you know, the record goal scoring W League player still playing, who's definitely gunning for, you know, a comeback with the Matildas, playing in your league. That's I guess as good as it gets for us, and I think it's going to be amazing for us to be able to see, but also so good for the girls playing in her team to see what it takes to get to the level that she is at. And you know, she's not she doesn't have, I guess, your typical path where she didn't become a pro at 17-year-old and was that young talent that exploded. She actually built her career game after game and season after season, and she showed that she could still be good even after having, you know, not the best years. She wasn't performing as well as she wanted to be just before she came back to Canberra United, and then she comes back and past 30 years old, goes and has a cracking season with 11 goals. I just think it's so good for the competition. It's good for, you know, I think about the Jade Browns and the LKI Tolu and the Ella Rose Brown, that now you're going to see, you know, what the extra things that you do if you want to be a professional player, and the extra time you spend at training and the different moves that you do during the game, and you know, the sacrifices probably that you have to make as well to be able to make it at that level. That's a lot of experience that, you know, none of the pundits or the coaches or anyone can bring to those girls, because they need to see the role model in front of them performing. So, you know, Olympic was graced with having Ashley Sykes and Nicole Berg, and in Canberra, Croatia, so many have played. Belconnen United, the same thing. It's good to see that up north in Gungahlin, a player of the caliber of Michelle Heyman is now joining the league.
100% is very exciting. Michael Aldred, from your point of view as a coach as well, what does she bring to the league? What does she bring to a team like Gungahlin United? And do you think she'll just slot right in there?
I think so. Gungahlin I think Diego's been building that team for 2 or 3 years. When it's very well organised, they play good football. if you had one criticism against him for making that step from being the third or fourth team to the top two, is their lack of goals sometimes, their clinical ability to finish their good playoff. They've now got that player. And as Jérémy says, I think it's a twofold. One, it's great for the competition. It's also great for Gungahlin. The players there will learn all the things Jérémy spoke about, how to be a professional. But do you know what? It's looking at people like Jérémy and yourselves, and we've now suddenly got an extra few lines of publicity. We've now got put the W League a little bit more on the NPL, a little bit more on the map. And those 8 or 9-year-old girls who enjoy playing football might now come along and watch those games, and might think that's what I want to do. And I think long term, this is a way forward for all clubs to try and find some way we can attract players like that. And we all know sometimes it comes down to money, resources, time availability. But if you were a sponsor and you were looking to throw some money into football, an NPL team with Michelle Heyman being top of that league is not a bad way to sell your product.
And how, as a coach, how difficult is it going to be if you're coming up against someone like Michelle Heyman? Do you sort of concentrate on her, or do you sort of figure out a way to not completely concentrate on her, considering you've always got other players there at Gungahlin who can hurt you as well?
Yeah, I think I suppose it depends where Diego plays her. She's a natural centre forward, but in the competition, she could easily play a 10-8 because of her ability to. You don't want her not to get on the ball. I think if I was coming up against her coaching, and it wouldn't be a case of concentrating on Michelle, it would be looking where Gungahlin play the ball into Michelle and stopping that ball coming in there before he gets there. You know, they generally like to play through the middle. They don't knock it wide too often, so you try and plug that gap before the ball gets to Michelle. Because once she's got the ball, she's going to be very dangerous.
100%. It's going to be interesting to see how she fits. In my opinion, I think she'll complement them quite well. You mentioned how they didn't really score too many goals previously, but Michael Georgescu mentioned on the show last week when they've scored like 11 goals in 3 games as of last week, and they scored in 8 games last season, the regular season. They only scored 19. So you can really tell they're already improving attacking-wise besides this week. And with Michelle Heyman in there, she's an out-and-out goal scorer, and everyone can. And one thing Diego does well is a lot of the players can rotate, especially in those midfield and forward positions. So I think the challenge for the top teams is when you're looking at CFC and Belconnen, no one really ever puts any scoreboard pressure on them. They get one ahead. Teams work hard. Suddenly it's 2 or 3, and you probably noticed over the last 2 or 3 years, those teams run away with teams in the last 10 minutes. They put 3 or 4 in the last 10 minutes. It would be very interesting when and I only watched a bit of the game on the weekend. It would have been interesting if someone like Michelle played and Gungahlin had scored first. Because teams like Gungahlin are very well organised, and scoreboard pressure does very different things to teams who are not used to being behind.
And we see that with CFC, right? We see that with Grace Gill, with Canberra, Croatia. Whenever she's here or not here, it changed the whole physiognomy of the game, and it changed how the player plays around her, because that experience brings the calm, brings the voice in the middle of the pitch to replace your players. A girl like Michelle Heyman, if Gungahlin is up 1-0 against Belconnen, is going to have that presence, that experience to be able to tell the girls, this is how we play from now. Either it's dropping down or pressing high, whatever the communication is. And she's also going to be able to lead from the field, like whatever Diego is going to say, she's going to apply it to the T, and she has the stamina and the skills to do it. So obviously such a win-win.
And it's fantastic as a coach to have I would imagine from Diego's perspective, it would be fantastic. And Canberra, Croatia have got it, Belconnen have had it in the past, to have that senior player in the changing rooms who backs up what the coach says, talks to the young girls, helps them, as you say, helps them through those moments when you are 1-0 down or you're 1-0 up, and how do you adapt to that? You don't panic. I think it's a fantastic asset for Diego.
It certainly will be, and I heard it will be a couple of weeks before she plays. Jérémy can probably confirm that. Something she still has a few injuries that she's just trying to clear up first, or?
I think it's just resting after
Resting,
the
just
W League
resting in
season.
general,
Yeah,
okay.
we just saw Sasha Goff playing a few minutes this week. We still haven't seen Vicky Linton back either. I would assume it's just more like more of a break. We were about to tell Diego to make her play for the semi-final of the Federation Cup, so then we could secure an extra sponsor and get it on Bar TV. But we got the sponsor without guaranteeing that, so we're good.
If you were Belconnen or CFC, where you probably expected to finish in the top two, and Gungahlin now may drop a few points till Michelle gets on board or until Michelle finds her right place within the team in the style that Diego plays, because that always takes time. You wouldn't want to be in that finishing in the spot where you're playing the third place team in the finals coming up. You wouldn't want that.
Sure.
Yeah, because by the time the finals come round, I think there's a clear top two at this moment in time, but I would anticipate there'll be a clear top three quality teams by the time final comes round.
It's going to be another story.
100%. All right. Before we get stuck in, Michael Georgeski, what was your reaction when you saw the news? Any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's touched on some fantastic points there in regards to her signing with Gungahlin United. It's obviously a great fit for the league and the women's game and the image as well. We've all touched on her influence and how that's going to draw attraction for supporters and fans to want to come to games, which is always great. It's something that we always want to see in the Canberra game, particularly in the women's game as well. So to have that reason to have such a high profile player in the NPLW is going to attract a lot of eyes. And like you said, Michael, it's been a clear top two for a while, especially in NPLW with Canberra, Croatia and Belconnen United. But the signing of Michelle Heyman at Gungahlin United, I think in the near future will formulate to a strong top three horse race in the NPL title race. So when she eventually makes her debut, it'll be a great thing to see. But it's a great signing for Canberra football, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to her, getting on the pitch and scoring a few goals.
I'm sure she'll score a few goals there. That's for sure. Let's get into a team who scored quite a few goals on the weekend against Michelle Heyman's new team. Belconnen United 3-0 over Gungahlin United. Johnston in the 21st minute and Bomford scored a double, one in the 74th and one in the 88th minute. Impressive victory from Belconnen United, who, safe to say, dominated the majority of the attacking play, had the majority of the chances, especially in that first half. Olivia Bomford, star of the show, an assist. Beautiful assist, by the way. Jérémy, you'll describe it a bit soon, with a beautiful ball over the top, and scored 2 goals on her own, especially with that first goal. I would say was particularly a stellar one. Jérémy, how did you feel like this match sort of played out?
Oh, sorry, my internet just quickly jumped and then I lost the what was going on? Which game are you on? I'm so sorry.
That's fine. That's fine, man. You couldn't even see it. The camera was still going.
I'm
so
very still.
That's all good. We're starting with Belconnen United, of course, 3-0 over Gungahlin United.
Sure.
How'd you feel that one played out, Jérémy?
Sorry, man. Very, very cagey affair. I think we saw two teams who knew what they were up against and who did whatever they could to be able to nullify the other team's forces. Gungahlin was very good at breathing down Michaela Thornton's neck to make sure she didn't have the space to turn around and to actually organize the game the way she does. They were also, as we know them, good at pressing high, but also very good at dropping down very quickly and putting the numbers in defense to prevent being run over by Belconnen. And Belconnen was expecting what was going to happen when you play against Gungahlin, whether it's danger from everywhere, right? Whether it's shoot from afar or ball in behind the defense. And same thing, did very well to defend deeper. I think where Michael Zakowski may have done the difference this weekend, putting Sarah Johnston back up on the midfield. I know he couldn't for the last game, but having Karen Clark in defense and being able to have Johnston next to Thornton in the midfield was a big difference, because Sarah Sarah Johnston has, a wealth of experience coming from the Illawarra Stingrays, and she was able to straight away make the difference in the midfield, added that extra pressure, relieve a little bit Michaela Thornton from her responsibilities, and the first goal is from Sarah Johnston, which obviously is great for them. I think it's unfortunate for Gungahlin that they concede on like almost fluky goals. The first goal is just one lack of focus on one beautifully chipped ball, and then the second ball is deflected and then bounced back on somebody, and we don't know if it's Sander or Bonford that scored, and then by then it's 2-0 and it's hard. I didn't see, I guess, the creativity that we've used to see with Gungahlin up front. I saw a lot of nervosity. I saw a few wrong choices made here and there by the forwards, where a couple of times there were some easy 1-2s that the DeMarcos or Pennyfield or Brown could have played together, and a few times they tried their luck from afar, which have worked really well for them in the first three match days, but didn't work that well on Sunday. I feel like they had the opportunity and the tools to be more dangerous for the Blue Devils, but somehow in the final third, whether it's nerves or panic, they just didn't deliver as well as they could, because however lethal Belconnen is, I think, and we'll see that next week, right? I think against a team who attacks calmly and in a collected way and is able to understand what's going on in front of them, there is spaces in behind the defense of Belconnen, which is the simple result of the way Belconnen is trying to play and attack always and press always. You'll always have a bit of imbalance in your team if that's what you're playing. But yeah, I kudos to Michael, right? Still undefeated since he took the reins at Belconnen, and showing that whatever the opposition is finding a way to adapt and to do what it takes to score the goals, and kudos to his girls as well, of course. It's going to make the season very interesting, because I think, Gungahlin, we know now, is going to get better. Olympic is definitely going to get better, and Croatia and Belco seems like they're already there. The rest of the season, is going to be very interesting, and starting with the next two games.
It certainly will be. Michael Aldred, what did you make of this result? 3-0 Belconnen winners over Gungahlin.
I think it's interesting. As Jérémy said, I think Michael's the Belconnen coach has got them playing slightly different. They've always had the ability to overpower teams through the names they've got and through the experienced players, and they've often relied on other teams' mistakes to jump on top of teams. But they seem to be pressing a little bit higher this year, which again, the right team may create some advantages, but the team are working really hard for Michael, and yeah, they seem to be 10-15 meters further up the pitch than they had before. And I think Jérémy touched on that. I think that might have surprised Gungahlin. Gungahlin generally like to build up slowly from the back, play out a little bit, but I think they were rushed, and you saw mistakes they generally wouldn't make. And that's when, going back to our original conversation, that's when you'd get someone like Michelle who would maybe calm the team on those things and raise those standards slightly from those defenders or midfielders looking for that ball, which again, I'm sure Diego will now know what Michael plays, and he might slightly alter his tactics next time.
Jérémy, before we move on, would you say it was there was just a bit of because they were pretty strong defensive this matchup, Gungahlin. Would you say just that link just wasn't there like it usually is? Like, were they just not able to concentrate on playing both sides of the ball like they usually do in the majority of the matches? They haven't let in a lot of goals either this season, bar that match.
Yeah, I think what Michael said is true. Next time you should invite Michael Zakowski as well. So then we have a third Michael, and then we can be all right. I think what Mr. Aldred says, it's true. I think they were probably surprised by the amount of pressure that they were under, and we're talking about quality players in Belconnen that know how to press and know how to press right.
Yeah.
And I think Diego and his team were surprised by it, or even after being surprised, we're just bothered by it. It's not easy to get the ball out, and you need to have speed, you need to have movement, and if just one player doesn't do the right move at the right time, then you end up being stuck and having to come back behind. I've rarely seen Gungahlin not being able to string 3 passes in the other half, and I haven't seen much of that this weekend. So I think the game was approached the right way by both teams, and the plan worked a bit better for Belconnen than it did for Gungahlin. The mistake happened one side. If it had happened the other side, if one of those shot from afar ends up on target, or if the right pass is done at the right time and Gungahlin gets the right deflection, the score can be otherwise. So I do think that it was a very close game between two very solid teams. The success went to the more opportunistic.
I think Gungahlin will play a little bit longer when they have Michelle in the team against Belconnen. They'll have a natural outlet, and they'll do their. In Diego's position, I will be looking to turn Belconnen around a little bit quicker than what they're doing at the moment.
And as a coach, you've played against your teams have played against her many times. Michaela Thornton, whenever she, Jérémy mentioned how Gungahlin tried to stop her from playing her game, but when she makes those runs, she's an absolute bullet train, Michael. I think Nick said on commentary, the only way you can stop her is by fouling her. So as someone whose teams have played against her quite a bit, how important is she for the Belconnen side?
Oh, I think, and especially this year in the Premier League, there's a lot of good coaches who know the game, who will set up teams very well. But you've got players like that who they're the X factor. They can do things that you can't compensate for, and I think most teams would want 2 or 3 of those players. And if you get one of those, then they're the difference.
100%. And Jérémy, before we move on, can you speak a little bit about Olivia Bonford? Had a very good match, of course. 2 goals, 1 assist. One of her goals was absolutely outstanding, and a beautiful ball over the top as well.
Yeah, she's just showing how good she's going to be all season, and it's funny because she's not the flashiest players on the field. When I watch a couple of games, and it's not like you see her at every single possession, but when the ball comes in her feet, she's capable of making the right decision straight away. Whether it's just one touch, one pass, or whether it's a dribble to get rid of a couple of players and create the opportunity for one of her teammates, but she has clearly that understanding of the game where she's able to score the goal, and she's also able to give the ball where it matters. And she's going to be an amazing asset for Michael when you have the pace of Bobbin on one side. Unfortunately, Nicole Jaloka just got injured, but when you had Jaloka before, even the pace of Nina Zarevac, the youngster who played a couple of games, Bomford is going to be such a key to the further success of Belconnen.
They certainly look strong, Belconnen United. All right, Michael Georgeski, what is our next matchup?
The amount of times that the name's Michael's that has been thrown around.
I've never said Michael Georgeski on the show besides the intro. So
Michael, Michaela, Michael.
There's a lot of Michaels going around, but nevertheless, we'll move on. We had Canberra, Croatia up against Canberra Olympic, a massive win for the home side, Canberra, Croatia. Putting 7 past Canberra Olympic. 7-2 was the final score. Fogarty scored twice for the hosts. Palombi scoring 4 before Hagan scored in the 76th minute. The scorers for Canberra Olympic were Sykes and Cook.
You said Jérémy, Sykes' time.
Yeah,
you said Sykes' time.
I got it right this time. Jérémy, a very, very strong performance from Canberra, Croatia, a real statement of intent because we've talked about not only how good Canberra, Croatia have been as a footballing side, but the slow rise of Canberra Olympic and how they've developed as a football team over the last year or so. So what were your thoughts on this match? Because it was a real statement of intent from Canberra, Croatia at home.
Yeah, Canberra, Croatia is playing it like Belconnen, I think. We had discussed that with Nick a couple of weeks ago, where he was saying that he knows how tight this year is going to be, and he knows the cultural Belconnen is, if you're up to 0, why not being up 6, 7, 8-0? Just keep pushing. And I think he's doing just that. It's 7-2, but it could have been 5-4. 9-8. It could have stayed at 4-3. It was just a very, very entertaining game, and he went back and forth. And Olympique was just a little bit unlucky not to find the back of the net sometimes. Obviously, Canberra, Croatia also had some very good defending going on. But yeah, I think it was a great game, and a great game where the team who had that many more opportunities and that much more aggressivity on the ball everywhere on the pitch won. Canberra Olympic is definitely, we're saying top 2, and then we're saying Gungalin's coming up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Olympic all the way at the end as well, competing, being a serious competitor for the semi-final. They just recruited Tanya Miro, who started the game this weekend in Deakin, and she made an instant impact. I mean, we know Tanya from when she was playing at Gungahlin, right? And we know the raw talent that she is, and the technique that she has, and a girl like this right next to Ashley Sykes with Rachel Hardwick, who came back from an injury and took a bit of a knock this weekend, but still played the whole game. You see that she's not 100%, but when she's going to get there, Olympic is scary offensively when you have all those players. Where it's still, I guess, a little tender is you haven't replaced Nicole Begg, obviously, in the midfield, or for those defensive tasks, or for the transition balls. Lara Burdett, I think, has a very solid beginning of the season, but it's hard to replace Nicole Begg. So defensively, it's a bit tender. So many balls behind the defense. Out of 7 goals, I think 5 of them are just a ball chips in behind the defense. And even though, the young goalkeeper Haynes, had some very good saves. At one point, when he keeps coming, is what do you do? And 2 penalties as well. Speaks to the mistakes, the defensive mistakes that Olympic have done. Speaks of the lack of positive aggressivity. The lack of that first step before the other player comes into the ball. That doesn't take away from what Canberra Croatia is doing, of course. No Grace Gill, no Chantel Jones, and yet you're able to score 7 goals. I feel like watching the game, I think Grace Gill looked like she was playing, because all you can hear is her voice around the field. But which is, again, that's not a lot of teams have a coach and a captain who can speak as much as the coach about what's going on the field, right? So that speaks to how good Croatia is going to be, and when you can afford to not have Grace Gill, not have Chantel Jones, and still have probably the best starting 11 in the league, that means you're going to be a serious contender all year long. Brittany Palombi did what Brittany Palombi does. She even did it with her right foot. 2 goals with her right foot already this season. I'm just waiting for her to score a header. But yeah, she's just being spectacular again. So many times they found themselves just doing those cutback pass and being a bit too quick for the Olympic defense. It's going to be such a good game against Belconnen. I'm really looking forward to it. It's 2 teams that are in it to win it. It's 2 teams that are playing some very smart football, that both have their moments where they're a little bit unbalanced. But what we've seen this weekend from Canberra, Croatia, it just speaks volume about how good the group is being. There's probably 3, 4, even 5 more players that can be in the starting lineup compared to last year, which Nick is dealing with really well, thanks to sometimes players not being here like Grace and Chantel, but also he's using the rotation properly, and all players are concerned, and it's good to see. And it's also good to see Krista Hagen, probably not the tallest players in the league, scoring a header.
Absolutely. And Michael, I'm curious to gather your thoughts. I mean, Jérémy just touched on it there in the latter stages of his discussion with Brittany Palombi. 4 goals, obviously, in this game. She's currently the top scorer in NPLW with 7 goals in 4 matches. So she's absolutely on fire at the moment. So, Michael, what are your thoughts on this Canberra Croatia outfit? Obviously, looking to defend their title again this season. A fantastic result for them, even though Jérémy said that it was a real back and forth game. The scoreline could have been a lot closer than what it ended up as. But what were your thoughts on this encounter? And
It's
Palombi?
It's funny. Palombi. she could do nothing the whole game as soon as she scored 4 past you. She's got an eye for goal, and you can't teach that, unfortunately. It was interesting. I spoke to a Canberra FC player, well, remain nameless, last week, and I talked about at the start of the season, and she said, "You know what? We're going to give someone a real good hammering. We're missing so many chances at this moment in time." And I didn't see the game on the weekend, but to score 7 against Olympic shows that you probably put more chances away than what you've done in the previous games. And it's right what Jérémy says. I think the challenge for Nick is to manage that team with Grace and with Chantel and with those star players to get the best out of it. And next week's a perfect example. You've got two games against Belconnen in a short space of time, when realistically, and no disrespect to the other teams in the competition, whoever wins that semi-final Fed Cup is going to be a huge favourite to win the Fed Cup. And then you don't want to, from a CFC perspective, you don't want Belconnen to start creeping away with the league as well. So it'll be interesting how he manages that team. And even Olympic, I share Jérémy's view. I think they will end up in 4th spot this year. They've had a very tough start to the season with fixtures. They've got a few new players. They'll take time to gel. They've got a coach who knows the game very well, has played the game at a good level. So she'll get that team going, and I think you'll see over the next few weeks they'll come back to that top 4.
Absolutely. Matt, do you have any final thoughts on this match before we move on to the next fixture?
No, I think these two wrapped it up quite well. I mean, if for those who were watching, you might have thought it was 41-0 according to the Bar TV. According to
45-1.
Yeah, 45-1. Sorry, 45-1.
It went both 41-1, then 45-1, then 44-1.
It was fine in the second half, so I hope everyone was watching it at least saw the second half live in that regard. But yeah, no, it was just interesting. I mean, Brittany Palombi, every time she touched the ball, she knows how to finish it, and especially on those 101s, you could see how she just always found a way to just slide in, put one, even when she looked like she was going to go right, immediately, very quick switch, she's put in the left, and her technique was just great. It's great to see some of the younger players coming through. I mentioned them last week, like Juna scored her first goal last week in NPLW. Bella Barrach had a second start of the season, I believe, and she's a live wire in midfield, a lot of energy. And Fogarty's playing very well up front. So it's good to see that when Grace Gill and Chantel Jones aren't there, everyone else steps up as well, because it's a long season. Not everyone's going to be there for every game. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. All right.
To Michael Aldred's point, sorry to interrupt, Matt. Whichever team reaches the final, if they end up facing Gungahlin, it could be Michelle Heyman's first game. So
that's true.
I don't fancy facing Michelle Heyman in a Federation Cup final. I fancy commentating that game, but I don't fancy playing and facing him.
That's true.
All right, we look forward to that one, that's for sure. All right, our next one, we got West Canberra Wanderers 4 over Wagga City Wanderers 1. Shavera Kale, 18th minute. Maguire 23rd. Edwards in the 54th, and Letton in the 93rd minute. And then Wagga City Wanderers Megan Castle with the goal there. Jérémy, first win of the season for West Canberra. Pretty impressive fashion. From what I saw, they created quite a few opportunities, more than they put through. There was an interesting player coach, Emma Stanbury, actually had a goal that was disallowed. Beautiful play there. Tiana Jaber with the ball.
Great finish.
It was a great finish, and I know she wasn't happy. She insists that was onside. So, Jérémy, what'd you make of this one? Pretty impressive performance for West Canberra to get their first win on the board.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Ana Sofia Chavera Calle with their second goal in that mini game. I know the little Spanish in me. We with the second goal with Western Canberra, she's a good find by Emma Stanbury. Ana Sofia, it's a good game from West Canberra. I think somehow it ended up being 4-1, but it could have gone anywhere. They were lethal up front, West Canberra, and I think Sarah Whitfield, their captain, played a couple of games up front, a couple of games in defense, and now she was back in defense to be able to solidify that back four, which she does very well wherever she plays on the pitch. Is going to be an asset for the Wanderers. But yeah, the duel of the Wanderers, the battle of the Wanderers, sorry, was a proper battle. Janet King, who we haven't seen, we haven't really seen her level yet in goals, did quite a few saves against Wagga City, and West Canberra ends up with I think 7 or 8 offside, which a lot of teams are going to end up like this against Sam Gray's team, because he likes to play a high defensive line. But when they're not offside, then it's obviously super dangerous. The second goal, with the camera angle and the way we will see it looked like she's 3 meters away from the defense already. Well, clearly the referee saw it better than we do, so she's probably not offside. But that's the risk you take by defending the way Sam wants his team to defend. And I think Emma Stanbury probably, for sure, knows that and sees that perfectly. She talks about the goal that she scores. If Tiana Jaber is 4 meters up front, then her cross doesn't go forward, it goes square, and then she's not going to be offside. And that's what they try to do quite a few times, to try and go into the wing and to try and then cross the ball to be able to score, which is how you should play against a team that wants to defend high. I think it's always going to be a tough one for Sam, I think, trying to play the way he wants to play. I love that style of play, don't get me wrong. But as soon as you're going to play against players who have a little bit more pace than your two fullbacks, or people who have the patience to wait for your team to drop a meter to then throw the ball forward, it's going to end up being a hard game. And on a surface like the Synthetic at Melrose, where the ball is a little bit faster than what it is when they play home, it's also not an advantage for Wagga City. So kudos to Emma for a first win as a head coach. I think it must be good to get that monkey off your back. And we said how hard it is, in our opinion, to play and coach, but she's doing that admirably so far, and the team is definitely answering well to her, and she's obviously bringing that technique and that skills on the field. And I said that I think a couple of times last year. Then I thought, when she was playing under you, Michael, I thought that like defensively she could have done the extra effort, and she could have helped a bit more the girls around there, which didn't look like this
a lot more
looking from the outside. Well, I didn't say that. Obviously she's doing it at West Canberra.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that, Michael? You, of course, coached her a little bit last year when she joined Tuggeranong before the end of the season. What sort of challenges do you think she's going to have as a player coach per se? And it went well for her this match.
I think the weekend was big for her because, as we say, it's a hard role. The training you can sort of manage, but playing, and you need a good assistant coach to help that. But I think the result on the weekend was big for her to gain some momentum. I think that first win is important. They play Tuggeranong on the weekend, which again is an opportunity to look for their second win. And once you get a bit of momentum, it's like any sport. There's going to be the confidence there. Things flow. The problems you normally have may not be there. So I think, and they're a talented side. They're like most teams down there. When you look at Woden, Wagga, Tuggeranong, they're 1 to 11 and some very good players. I think it's the Belconnen and CFC have got the advantage of the strength in depth, but they've got a very good 11 and some 2 or 3 really good quality players. And I must admit, I listened to Jérémy there talk about Sam, and I know exactly how Sam feels, because the last 2 or 3 years I've played a very high line as well. And the reason we always did quite well against Wagga was because we knew they were playing the high line. And it is a challenge for Sam, but I do applaud him for sticking to his principles. And when it works well. But I must admit, I thought the scoreline was probably a bit harsh, but I thought I did fancy Wagga before the game to get up.
Indeed, it was an interesting matchup and very important for West Canberra to get on the board. Wagga will be disappointed to not get a better result, especially after going down to Gungahlin last week. Michael, do you have any thoughts on this one before we move to the next one?
No, I think it was very important for West Canberra, I think, to get their first win of the season, just to get that monkey off their back per se. It's always important for a team to get their first win of the season, no matter how they get it, just to sort of build a little bit of momentum, which I'm sure West Canberra will look to do next week against Canberra Olympic, which I'm sure we'll get into when we do our predictions for the next round fixtures. But we can move on to the final game, which was Canberra United Academy getting a 2-0 win over Tuggeranong United. A good win for Canberra United Academy, their second win on the trot, starting to build some good momentum, and they need that as they face a Gungahlin side this weekend, which will be a fascinating matchup. Jérémy, a good win for Academy, 2 on the bounce. It's exactly what they would have wanted heading into a game as important as it is next week, but just more this game specifically. Jérémy, how did Canberra United Academy go about getting this victory?
I think they stuck to their game plan. You know, lot of running, good passing, short passing football. They've done what we've seen them doing against Canberra, Croatia, and even against Belco, even if it didn't really go their way. Good amount of pressure from the get-go, and then being able to score 2 goals this early in the game. You know, by the 20th minute, they were already 2-0 up. Makes things easier, right? To be honest, I was impressed again, like we said last week, by the level of Tuggeranong United, who, congratulations, Michael. The work is definitely coming to fruition. Very, very solid defensively. About the goalkeeper, although she's technically not the first goalkeeper, very, very solid and very reassuring on her line. Unfortunately, the first goal she flukes it a little bit, but besides that, she was imperial. I think it took a very solid and consistent Canberra United Academy team to be able to get that result, because otherwise it would have gone the other way pretty easily. We've seen Sasha Grove coming in the second half, and straight away she brought what we know she can bring to the game. So seeing her coming in and getting into her groove will obviously be a big plus for the academy. On the ladder, it looks like the gap is made. The academy is only 2 points behind the teams in front of them, and they've created a bit of a hole with the team behind them. I don't know if seeing them play, I don't know if they can yet, be a problem for Canberra, Croatia, Olympic when they're ready, Belconnen and Gungahlin, just because it's a little bit tender. It's a little bit besides Sophia Christopherson and Anna Hunt. They are missing Alex Giddis, who's amazing last year up front on the wing. They are missing that second wing threat. We'll see with the comeback of Sasha if they can bring a bit more threat forward. And obviously, I don't think we can underestimate the impact that having Vicky Linton on the bench will have on Canberra United Academy. But it's a good win. It's great. They need to capitalize against those teams, because I see it being hard against the other teams for Tuggeranong. And straight away I texted Stan to congratulate him as well. Again, brilliant game defensively, very well in place. The ability to bring back the numbers very quickly was as impressive as it was last week against Canberra, Croatia. Malimaji a little bit too isolated up front to be able to bring those threats all the way to the end. Those amazing runs from Zoe Terry that we saw when we commented the game, Matt, I haven't really seen again. I don't know if they told her not to do them again, but we need to see them. We need to see her doing those runs and going through defenses, because I think it's going to bring proper goal threats for Tuggeranong. It's good to see how well they play when Steffi Coates is not playing yet. When the captain is going to be back, Tuggeranong is going to be a bit stronger. I see your face, Michael. Maybe that means she's not coming back soon enough. But yeah, it's good to see the level of Tuggeranong. I don't think we have a gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4, but I don't think the gap is as pronounced as it has been some years in the past.
Absolutely. And I guess, Michael, to touch on this game, I guess, particular lens obviously focused on more Tuggeranong. Obviously, you were the former coach there. I'm sure you've kept an eye on them here and there to see how they've gone about since your exit. I guess, can you just talk a little bit about this result and I guess how the team is progressing along as this season goes on? I mean, I think that the teams in this competition, the gap is getting smaller and smaller as players continuously are coming through with these different teams to really catch up to the likes of, Belconnen and Canberra, Croatia. Even though there may be teams that aren't up obviously to their level yet, but I think it's going in a good direction, certainly in the women's game. But I guess in more particular, Tuggeranong United, Michael, how have you found their performances and in particular more recently?
It's a little bit difficult, I'll be honest. Since I stepped away, I've tried to step away and keep away. But I spent 5 years there and we built a certain way to play. The players, and you see it now as well, and Jérémy's touched on it, I think, even from, I coached the first game against Gungahlin where we lost 4-0, and then they've had 2 results against Croatia and obviously this weekend. They're a hard-working side. They don't get beat easily. They never give up. They've still got, as Jérémy said, they've still got a couple of players to come back who I think will make a difference to the team. The problem is they haven't got that X factor. They haven't got that ability to break open a game. And I think the couple of games we won last year, we took the lead. I think Tuggeranong needs a little bit of luck to get that nose in front, to get that momentum, get that little bit of belief. And if you look at our goal scoring record over the last couple of years, it's the players, I say, players never give up, but it can be a bit deflating when you're suddenly 1-0 down and you think, where are the goals going to come from? But I can vouch from knowing these girls quite well that the team will never give up. None of the players will give up. They will work their socks off all year, and there's a good group of people around them who will make sure they continue to do that. And as you said, I've got to be honest, when I look at this league table, you think it doesn't look very good. But as you've touched on, the league table might be a bit irrelevant this year because the gap won't be as big as what the league table may suggest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They'll give them
Yeah, Matt, do you have any of your thoughts on this one, Matt? Obviously a good result for Canberra United Academy, but Michael touched on some great points there from a Tuggeranong point of view. What did you make of this result?
Yeah, I thought Tuggeranong showed how well they've sort of progressed defensively from the first game of the season to now. It was an important win for CUA, since you mentioned they are going to be coming up against a Gungahlin side that I think are going to be raring to go after their loss to Belconnen United. So I think the boys touched here on the majority of the points. And I have to say that Tuggeranong away kit looks fantastic. Fantastic kit, that one.
So good.
So good. The yellow with the...
There was a lot of discussion on that kit.
So good.
I'm assuming it's positive. It was a great kit.
Yeah.
Great kit. All right. So before Michael brings up the quick previews for next week, I just wanted to read the table quickly. So I'll go from bottom to top. We got Tuggeranong United 0 points in 8th place. Then we got Canberra Olympic in 7th place with 3 points. Then 6th place Wagga City with 3 points. West Canberra Wanderers in 5th place with 3 points. 4th place Canberra United Academy with 4 points. Gungahlin United in 3rd place with 9 points. Canberra Croatia in 2nd place with 10 points. And Belconnen United in 4th place with 12 points, 4 wins from 4. There's only 2 undefeated sides there. And as you can tell, I said a lot of 3 points and 4 points. So there's a bit of a gap between 3rd and 4th, but it is a very, very long season, as we know. So, Michael, what is the first matchup for the weekend?
It's a cracking matchup that we've slightly touched upon before these previews. I mean, really needs no big introduction, but it's going to be a fantastic game. It's Belconnen United at home at McKellar Park, playing host to Canberra, Croatia, and what's going to be obviously a fantastic game. There's going to be, I think, plenty to come out of this encounter when it's all said and done. Going deeper into the season, that one's Saturday, May 8th, like I mentioned, at McKellar Park. Matt, do you want to kick off the predictions?
What's the prediction result?
Yeah.
Sorry, where are we on the
I
ladder?
was about to say.
How bad am I compared to you two?
Okay, not too far off. So essentially, Michael's made a bit of a comeback on all the ladders. He's only one behind me now, so we've got a pretty close score sheet going. But for NPLW, Michael and I both got 3 last week. Jérémy, you got 2, so it's me on top with 13, Michael with 12, and you with 9.
Just love the underdog.
So we'll mention the other ones as we do the other ones. But look, I'm going to be the first one, and I'm going to start very positive and sit on the fence for this one, because we've seen a Canberra Croatia side that have built quite well from the first defeat in the Community Shield and that draw against Canberra United Academy. They've improved quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, and you can see that they're starting to click. And it's good to see that, like I said, when Grace Gills and Chantal Jones aren't there, the other players step up. I'm intrigued to see how both teams approach this. I think it could be a cagey affair, or one could have a lot more goals. So it's going to be one or the other. I don't think there's going to really be a middle game to this one. So I'm going to say it's going to be a draw. All right. Who's next? Jérémy?
Yeah, I can't wait for that game, and we've done a bit of a change in our commentary schedule. So with Matthew Moore, I'm actually going to be at McKellar on Saturday to commentate that game, which is going to be fantastic for sure. I'll go for a Canberra Croatia win. I think Nick Brosnich pretends to brush away that Community Shield defeat, saying that he didn't count and
I don't think he's pretending. I don't think he's pretending.
You always pretend when you lose. When you win, it counts. So I'm pretty sure he wants to. I guess he needs to tell Michael Zakowski who's got the crown right now. You know what I mean? So I see Canberra Croatia coming out guns blazing, and I definitely don't see it being a big result. But yeah, a short win for Canberra Croatia is my prediction there.
All right, Michael Georgeski, what's your one?
Well, we're going to have 3 different predictions here. So I'm going to go for a Belconnen United win at home. I think it's obviously a safe prediction to make, given how they've played so far this season. Their goals in abundance. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They obviously have the edge over Canberra, Croatia, having beat them earlier on this year as well. So and to your point, Jérémy, I think that will, be in the back of the minds of the Canberra Croatia players, and they'll really want to come out firing to right that wrong in a sense. But I think it's going to be a very close game, that's for sure. So I'm going to go for a Canberra United win. A Belconnen United win at home.
I'm thinking about Nick and Michael watching us talk about and like being, you're going to see, you see what I'm going to do. You see what I'm going to do.
Yes.
That's a part of it. It's great, when you hear that sort of reactions. Michael, what do you any thoughts on this one?
I think you've all summed it up pretty well, but I've got to sneak it in. CFC will sneak it. I think Grace and Chantal will drive that team to get a bit of revenge from the Shield game. I think they'll sneak it in a close game.
All right, Michael, our next matchup.
Yeah, so our next matchup, is West Canberra Wanderers playing Tuggeranong United at Melrose Synthetic Sunday, May 9th. We touched on how important it was West Canberra Wanderers getting that first win of the season, and how they can build a little bit of momentum against a very tough and durable Tuggeranong United side. Matt, how do you see this one playing out at Melrose at that that lunchtime kickoff?
Yeah, look, West Canberra, I think they built quite a lot of momentum. I think, I'm going to go with West Canberra victory here. It'll be closer than people probably think, because Tuggeranong, they're starting to find their groove defensively, like Jérémy and Michael both mentioned. So I'm going to go for a West Canberra victory, but I don't think it's going to be by a big margin in that regard. Let's go on to Michael Aldred next.
Well, I'm in an awkward situation on that one.
Oh, look, you don't have to if you don't want to. Just give us your thoughts on the match.
I think if people are listening to this, I think Tuggeranong will win very easily. But if you ask me to put my last dollar on it, I do feel as though West Canberra have got a little bit more to hurt Tuggeranong than Tuggeranong to hurt West Canberra.
All right, Jérémy.
I think they'll sneak it.
Jérémy?
Well, I mean, I'll go for a draw, I think. You know, I have to make up for the advance you guys took on me. So whether you lose 1-0 or 7-0, you still lose. So I'm going to take risks to try and win that one. In all seriousness, I think West Canberra definitely has the advantage. But Melrose is a short pitch. A short pitch might be advantageous for a team like Tuggeranong. Defensively, I think it's going to be hard. You know, Michael said it really well. Tuggeranong might miss that X factor up front to try and score goals. But I'm waiting for a ball to come behind the defense for Madi Madji, and then the X factor is there. So hopefully it'll happen this weekend for Tuggeranong. But yeah, I see a draw. I almost want to predict a null draw, but yeah, I'll go for a draw.
Michael?
I think this game's actually going to be tight. Like you have mentioned, I think Tuggeranong are slowly building week after week. They're progressing in a very, although it might be a slow and steady manner. The most important thing is that they're putting in the effort every week. And that showed against Canberra United Academy. And I fully expect them to carry that over into the West Canberra Wanderers encounter. But I do think West Canberra Wanderers will probably win that game by a goal or two. It'll definitely be close, but I'm going to go with the home side on that one.
All right, next up, Michael.
Yeah, so next we have Wagga City Wanderers against Canberra Olympic. Sunday, May 9th, 2:30 p.m. at Gissing Oval. This one should be a good game too. Jérémy, I'll go to you first. How do you see this one playing out?
I see it being a close game. You were talking about the ladder, Matt. I think the ladder is not up to date on the website because there's a game missing for Canberra United Academy this weekend's win. So they are actually 2 points behind Gungahlin. So now this game becomes even more interesting for the academy because if they win, they take over. I still see it as a Gungahlin win. I think you never learn as much as when you lose. And I think they've seen what didn't work against Belconnen, and they're going to be keen not to have that kind of game happen again. I know it's always different when you're playing on synthetic at Hawker, but I still fancy Gungahlin with a win.
I think you skipped a little.
Yeah, no, it's
Jérémy.
It's Wagga City and Canberra Olympic.
Oh, I was so focused on it. I think I broke for a bit, and oh, there you go.
That's all right.
Why you're behind on the scoreboard?
Yeah,
you're doing the wrong games.
I know exactly. It's exactly why. I'm sorry, boys. I don't know why I was in my own head.
That's right. Well, we don't need to go to you the next one then because we already
indeed.
Yeah.
So
Olympic. Sorry. Olympic. It's always hard to travel down to the Riverina, but I fancy Nicole Begg with the second win of the season. Apologies for the confusion.
That's okay.
Edit that back.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go for Olympic as well. I just think they've despite the losses they've had recently, there's been a lot of good positive attacking signs there for them, and we all know Wagga can leave themselves vulnerable to those sort of plays. And you've always mentioned the balls over the top. There's I saw quite a few balls over the top. All Olympic tried to anyway against Canberra, Croatia. I think they'll find their chances here, and when Ash Sykes gets a chance, we all know she 9 times out of 10 buries them in the back of the net. Wanderers will make their chances like they usually do. I just think they'll be a little bit too suspect defensively against the Olympic side that'll probably find more space than they have in their previous matches. So I'm going to go Olympic. Michael Aldred.
I think Manchester United will beat Liverpool. No, sorry,
Whatever.
Jérémy, sorry. I'm gonna get back.
Good one.
No, I think you've both just done it well. I think Olympic will have just too much for Wagga. Be an entertaining game. I'd probably see a lot of goals in that game. I think both sides will be looking to attack and touching. I think just to help that, I think Gungahlin will take the academy down as well.
All right.
We got 2-1.
All right. So there we go. We got 2-1 there. Oh, yeah, while we're at it, yeah, I think Gungahlin will have a little too much for them because Gungahlin, I think they're going to be really raring to go. I said that before, but they're going to be, I think they're going to be out for blood per se in this one, especially after not being able to create those chances like they usually do. I think they're going to be working on that massively in that match. So I'm going to go for that one.
We didn't touch on it, but with Michelle coming into the side in a week, 2 weeks' time, there's people in that Gungahlin side that won't want to be dropped. They'll want to play with Michelle. So they'll be out to impress.
This certainly will be the time in that regard. Michael, give us your 2 predictions while we're at it.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm going to go for a Canberra Olympic win as well. I think it was important that we touched on how difficult their fixture list has been so far this season. So to take where they're at the moment, you don't want to take that too seriously given the difficult fixtures that they've had. But I think they'll start to benefit now. And that will start with a game against Wagga City Wanderers, even though they'll have to make the travel out there, and that's always difficult in itself. But I expect them to get the away victory there, and then from there, I expect Canberra Olympic to build a little bit of momentum. As we said, we kind of expect them to sneak into that 4th spot, given the sides in the competition and the quality of the squad lists. So I expect that to start this weekend against Wagga City Wanderers. So I'm going to go for a Canberra Olympic away win, and I'm going to go for a Gungahlin United away win as well at Canberra United Academy. I think those girls will be ready to respond after that loss to Belconnen United. They'll look to switch their focus and put that result behind them. So I'm going to go for a Gungahlin United away win.
And since we jumped the gun on that one, we might as well say where it is. So Canberra United Academy vs Gungahlin United, Sunday, May 9th, 4:30 p.m. at Hawker Football Centre. Just get all the information out there. All right, guys. Fantastic having you both on. We've got to do this again soon. 100%. Michael, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to talk to you once again. And is any last thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, and we haven't been sounding too glib. Keep up the good work. It's all part of that. Let's let the football community know what a good job or good product we've got. So well done, boys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jérémy, any final words before you head off? Any plugs for your French football podcast?
No, the first thing, sorry, I just had a message during the podcast. The game Canberra United against Gungahlin is at 3:00 on Sunday, no more at 4:20. They had to change the fixture time and bring it in closer, an hour and 20 minutes. No, I guess I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Michael Aldred. I think the work that you've done at Tuggeranong can't be underestimated and can't be diminished. And obviously being in there, how hard it is to take over what we'll call a small market team in our competition and to still build a great program. I mean, I remember the first time I met you last year and that you told me about your handbook and your training book and that you sent it to me straight away. And I had a lot of pleasure reading it. You'll surely be missed in the competition, and I really wish you the best. And I hope that we'll see you very quickly back onto the field because your voice will be missed as well as all that you bring to the competition in the capital.
I really appreciate that, Jérémy. And as I say, it's good to have some support around for all the game, and I do look forward to getting back into the game soon.
You're going to have to give us a couple of copies of that handbook as well.
I'll get you onto my Dropbox. There's a few thousand drills in there for you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we look forward to having you back on the show soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.